Hey, I'm Jack Mackenroth. You may know me from Project Runway, and I'm here in Washington Square Park talking to various people about the subject of HIV and AIDS and their opinions on it and what they think about the current state of education here in the city and the nation. What do you think we can do to change that?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, people completely just forgot about like the AIDS crisis in like the late 80s. It's like it never happened, and we're in like the heart of like where it was like the strongest.
The majority of the new HIV infections are among women and minority groups, and that's a big concern.
Oh my, yeah, it is. It's very scary.
Black women are infected with HIV 20 times more than white women.
Because the disease looks so different today than it did 27 years ago when it was first identified, it's harder to get that message across.
Do you think people still think of it as gay men's disease?
I think that's an old sort of sentiment that maybe sticks around a little bit, but the perception is definitely changing.
Right.
The first step is creating awareness, and that means sort of breaking through with messages that reach people, that touch people, that resonate with people. The whole point of this message is that basically half of all people who are infected with HIV don't know it.
Do you know your status?
Yes, I do.
Well, good for you. Do you know your own status?
No, I don't, and that's not a good thing at all.
At AIDS Service Center, NYC, we do a free and confidential HIV counseling and testing program. So it takes a small sample, and in a little over 20 minutes, you'll have the results.
We help everybody. I mean, people sometimes just want to eat. Sometimes they just need a coat. And we provide people with all of those things.
I go to certain SROs, I go to certain churches, I go to certain street fairs that are designed to meet people, to talk about HIV, to talk about prevention.
Because I would see maybe 3,000 people in like 10 months that I didn't even know. You know, I would give out like 3,000 condoms after about 10 months. I always pull out like I pull out like 5, 6 different textures, different types, different sizes. And if that all fails, you know, usually they start to warm up to me when we get to the ribbed and the studded, or the micro thin. They kind of warm up a little bit, or the extra large.
The real success of those campaigns is not just in reaching people, but it's actually in changing behavior. It's actually in getting people to behave in different ways.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we still find people in denial.
I don't know. I guess it's really easy to just think like, oh, it's not going to happen to me. It might happen to lots of other people, but it won't happen to me. I don't really know.
By the way, I'm HIV positive too. And while, a lot of people can't admit that, my level of life, I'm comfortable with because I know where my help comes from.
Been HIV positive for 18 years. I experienced the 80s, the 90s, and all these decades of people living with AIDS and HIV, and I just think that the concern of the general public and society has just really gone down because you don't see people dying, so there's no sense of urgency.
There is a whole movement, if you will, amongst policymakers at really all levels of government towards what we term the medicalization of HIV. And I think that is really diminishing the value associated with programs like ours.
There are probably between 50,000, 60,000 people who get infected with HIV every single year. And that doesn't need to be the case because we have the tools to change that. We do. We have everything we need to turn the epidemic in this country around, except for one, and that's the political will.
Do you think you have a personal responsibility, like, in any way?
Just as with pregnancy, you have a responsibility to a life of a child not to have it if you're not ready. So a responsibility to that life, you have a responsibility to yourself and other people's lives to protect yourself.